welcome to Meeples on Meeples, episode 49. I'm Adam.
Andrew.
Brian.
Ian.
Before we get into our review for this week, of course, I'd like to invite you over to our website, MeeplesonMeeples.com, where we put all of our videos, all of our component shots, some written reviews that we never update, and various other things. Also, we have you follow us over on Facebook, where you can check out some questions of the week that we post every once in a while, get a little community interaction. And then, of course, subscribe to us over on YouTube, where all of our videos go up. Rather than our normal game of the week this week, as you can see, we're doing a bit of a compilation video of all of the big zombie games that have come out in the last, I guess, couple of years. In preparation for Halloween, we thought this was a good time to go over the games and decide, what we think is the best zombie game for you to play on Halloween night.
Should I go first up? Should we talk about what they are? First up is Zombicide. It was a huge Kickstarter success. Pure co-op up to 6 players with this, all playing survivors on a team. Think kind of Left 4 Dead, the video game, in board game form. You're all working together. Hordes of zombies just keep pouring in. Lots of nice miniatures, big box, lots of cool components in it.
Second game on the table here is Last Night on Earth. It's a little different than a Zombicide type game where that's all co-op. Last Night on Earth is some people play as the heroes, some people play as the zombies, and it's whoever can survive the longest. There's a few different scenarios in it. Very similar to Zombicide, but because you have people playing the zombies, just a little bit different.
Zpocalypse was a board building game where you have to build out your map and then pre-strategize before you actually have your phases, and you build it out, and you're supposed to be more cooperative, but there is some sort of screwage between the characters, but yet your character players actually don't matter. It's all based on what your card says. At least that's kind of the gist of that game.
Kind of gather new survivors, team building as you go.
Yeah.
And then our fourth one, which isn't out here, is Quarantine Z. It's more of a card-based game where it's survivors against zombies again. It's typically one person playing zombies, everybody else playing the survivors, seeing how long you can survive and take all the zombies out. I guess we start out is like we do on all of our videos on components across all these games, where I think Quarantine Z maybe is a little bit at a disadvantage just because it is a card-based game.
Yeah, $20 little mini box game, yeah.
So that doesn't count.
I mean, it does to some degree, and we talked about this in our review, is it could use things like Meeples or other markers that you need to be able to keep track of stuff, and it just doesn't have those things. It comes with, I think, a couple dice, cards, and that's it. So, I mean, as far as components go in that game, there's really not a lot there, and what's there, I guess, isn't really all that special, I don't think.
And the other 3 here all have boards you can build from individual pieces. They all have lots of miniatures, so they are pretty comparable component-wise, actually.
They all have player mats individually, and you all get to pick characters, which is kind of neat. And in all 3 of them, you get to choose specific characters.
I do think that Zombicide has the strongest miniatures, though.
I think it has the edge as far as nicest scopes, absolutely. Yep. And sheer number of miniatures. There's a lot in here.
But I think Zpocalypse really just is lackluster.
I think we did cover that in our review as far as it didn't hit on the theme as well as it could have.
Right. Well, yeah, I think we talked about where the miniatures weren't even really necessary. I mean,
because they don't match your character cards.
Right.
Anyway.
It could have been a chip, and it would have given you the same.
I mean, yeah. As far as Zombicide and Last Night go, you have your player mat like we talked about, and your character looks like the thing on the player mat. I mean, the weapons they're holding, their face.
You feel like you're playing an individual hero they have their own special stats. They have that player board, so you have the artwork that matches the figure, and so you actually feel like, oh, I am this character. I got to choose this character. This is what I look like, and it's well represented on the board. Whereas here, it's just kind of random, neat-looking humans, and then all the zombies are bright neon green, and Zpocalypse. Not a fan.
These 2, as far as character base, kind of went with your general horror theme kind of individuals. This little more vague than this one is very, very
this one is kind of the B movie route.
Right.
Yeah. But the staple character.
But Zombicide tended to use more of almost like the Walking Dead series.
They use a pop culture.
Yeah.
They do make references, and some of the guy with the little butch haircut. He's definitely the guy from Falling Down. And you have the sheriff who's modeled after Walking Dead.
Yeah. I mean, I think really, in my opinion, what it comes down to on components is Zombicide and Last Night are probably the ones that win out, I think, hands down. I'd probably go with Andrew, though, on Zombicide. And I think what it is Last Night uses kind of the realistic character look. Zombicide went with kind of, as you can see from the box, the animated, the comic book style, and it's reflected really well in the characters. I mean, it's just it's kind of a stylized look to them. And then Last Night has a few varieties of zombies, but Zombicide, like you said, hands down has
The walkers, the runners, the
multiple walkers, multiple runners. I
Well,
mean,
that and you
I
get
do
the
love
expansion
the-
to get more of zombies.
Yeah, there's several expansions actually
Yeah,
for
the
zombies. They're just
pictures.
hitting right now. Actually, they're just coming out. So
I guess that gets into one. Yeah, the pictures.
Yeah, the pictures and like your character boards but the map on this isn't.
in Last Night, we should
I mean,
probably say in case people are just listening, we're talking about Last Night on Earth.
Last
now.
night, yes. I'm sorry. It's very nice, but Zombicide just killed it on the.
Yeah,
components. They really
in the
did.
map, like you said, it's so detailed on Zombicide. Last Night's it's fairly plain. It has some detail.
And it has what you need.
Yeah.
It works well. It has what you need.
Well,
but it's not.
let's not stop with Zepocalypse.
Zepocalypse
They
is
had good
cluttered.
miniatures. I think this would actually be above, as far as miniature wise. It was well done.
I just know that as far as the map goes on that, it has. I mean, the map is just really busy on
I'm not even talking about
it's so
And
good.
not only is it busy,
I'm just talking like the player mat itself was really nice.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
it had the
absolutely.
dials. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
It
actually
was.
very good quality. It just you're kind of you didn't play a character, so you're just kind of like.
But in
It would be
Zepocalypse, the
whatever.
graphic design, the color choices are so hideous. There's so many like bright, like toxic waste type colors. Like I wasn't a fan of the art style.
No.
Miniatures were good.
Yeah.
I thought the board was hideous.
The
on top
board's
of being
just-
cluttered with all the symbols and
Yeah,
Oh,
stuff.
it was
symbols and
terrible
colors. It was just. I mean, just looking at it was almost overwhelming. Whereas Last Night and Zombicide kind of go with the realistic look.
I
The
almost-
street,
I almost
the
think keep
house.
the player mats out of this one, put it in Zombicide.
They're
The
very
player mats
good,
hands down.
absolutely. All right, so are we? I'm hearing. It sounds like. Do we all agree that Zombicide has the nicest components?
Yes.
I think so.
I think so.
Mhm.
Then it would go just down the line here. Last Night, then
Zombicide.
down to Zepocalypse.
Zepocalypse,
And then of course
yeah.
the card game Quarantine Z would be last, but that's
It
not
has to be
fair.
last.
How about going ease of play? I think that's a good way to compare all the games here. Or ease of teaching maybe would be the better way.
I'd say Last Night is probably the easiest to teach.
I had
So
the
it's
easiest
not
time
rules.
learning it.
I'm gonna go and say the one that's not Quarantine Z. I think is the easiest. It's a
Yes.
very
Oh,
easy
I'm
pick
sorry.
to play.
Absolutely, yes.
Being the
it's-
card game, you lay out just like I think it's at 9 or 12 cards. on
Yeah,
the
you've got
map.
your little map of cards laid
And
out.
then it's just you move between them, you search them, and you fight zombies. I mean, I think you can teach anybody that game in 10, 15 minutes.
And then you
it
can
was super simple.
play in about 30 to 45.
I mean, it's
so
it's
it is
very easy.
This
That's
was one of
true.
my first games you guys brought me in to play though, and I
And
last
literally like you just told me like let's have you move this, and so it was more because it was very cooperative.
And that helps.
And so that really kind of helped out the strategy as far as.
And I think
getting
that works
into the game.
for both Last Night and Zombicide is because of the co-op nature. Now you do have some people doing, if you have multiple people, a couple people doing zombies and a few heroes, but because you have somebody on your team to help you, that does help ease you into the game. Because both of these actually have a lot of rules.
But I
Right.
think
Oh, yeah.
in Zombicide we had a lot more of having to go back to the rule book
We did, and
for
I
different
think
rules and
that's
different
been.
things and complexity versus.
I think that's been discussed a lot in the comments for our review too. Is there's been a lot of revisions for rules on Zombicide, a lot of house rules that have been actually encouraged by the developers.
Or
Which
they've,
has
Because it's
made it-
or
unplayable.
they've kind of made
Dude,
Or it's unwinnable for
They've,
to a certain
they've
degree.
made some of the rules optional is what they've
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
So it's kind of vary the difficulty,
Well,
which makes it much more playable now than it was originally.
With cooperative experience, it splits the table right here. I mean, as far as these, you actually are full cooperative with the group. You win as a
And
group,
that
you
helps
lose as
with
a group.
learning. Yep.
This is you win as an individual in the very end, and during the gameplay, it's actually they actually say to play against each other
At
to a
certain
degree.
times,
Well,
yeah.
and then Quarantine Z, same thing. If somebody's not looking, you can steal a card. You had some
Yeah.
shooters there.
In
So, I mean, those-
Zepocalypse, some of the cards you get, where you get your mission card for the day or whatever,
Mhm.
specifically say one of them that I received was get somebody to give you a weapon, like their last weapon or whatever, and you got so many bonus points if I pull this off. Like go up next to another player, get them to lend you a weapon to help them fight, and then run away and laugh or whatever, and you'll get bonus points.
But
I
you-
mean, it encouraged you to screw each
Yeah.
other over.
Just to stick with comparison, the ease of play though, I think these do have a lot of rules. I think Last Night is probably the easiest between Zombicide and Last Night.
That's true.
Zombicide, like we said, they've made a lot of revisions, a lot of optional rules. There's a lot going back to the book. I think it's not your beginner game. Last Night probably really isn't either, but you can probably get somebody like when we brought Ian in, who's a little less experienced, on board with it.
Well, there was
Of the
three,
three,
you guys had already had a few
yeah,
different players
on the
in that.
table, this would be the beginner.
Zepocalypse, I mean, I sat out the first game we played on it and just kind of listened to the rules and then played it after that. It's a really complicated game. to it,
Very
really.
complicated.
As far as
Well, it could have been that Pat
strategy-
had to explain it, and that was.
It's because I was so bored, I was tuning it out, and
there's just a lot of rules, a lot of intricate rules that just. And it may come down to the theme, which I think is the last thing we're going to talk about. That really made that more difficult for us. But it just seemed more complicated than it needed to be. I mean, they're all complicated games, but I would still go Last Night or Zombicide as far as if you want ease of play, ease of teaching.
And the big boards and components.
Well,
the card game, if you want really just like a fast, quick, easy.
You could also get length of play. This is very long. That was semi-long. This was
well.
short.
The one downside with Last Night and Zombicide is you can't really predict. It seems like Z-Apocalypse is always a long game.
Long game, yeah.
With Last Night and Zombicide, depending on the scenario you pick, some of them might be an hour and a half. You might play a 3-hour game.
For instance, in Last Night, the humans could abandon the one place they need to hold on to in order to win the game.
Keep the mana
in the first turn. And it can be over in like 10 minutes.
We didn't realize how easy it would be for the zombies to overtake it if we all kind of
left.
But I think it comes down to an ease of play. I think we'd all recommend Quarantine Z if you just want a bunch of beginners to get in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think it sounds like Last Night would probably be the one that.
I think so. I think it's
start
the rule. I think it's the rules that are the easiest to understand when you're reading it. Because some of them were a little confusing in this, and they were definitely
Very
confusing in Z-Apocalypse. It's just more straightforward.
When you guys talk, you guys want to keep tucks in the boxes.
Yes, I love that.
Okay.
If you have a hardcore zombie fan in your group, I think that would actually be a good way. Like if they love all things zombies, start with the card game, play a couple games, then the next time play Last Night, and then move up to Zombicide. And I think they would enjoy them all, but it would ease them in.
I think that's a good segue into theme too. Exactly. There you go. As far as if you have somebody that's really, really big into zombie games, I think they all bring across theme really well
In different ways.
Quarantine Z is, I think, the least personally. Being the card game, being kind of the very basic game, it's really hard to get.
Well,
theme
horror
across.
movies are very visual and
Exactly.
visceral and gore, and you don't get that across in a very low budget card game.
Yeah. I'm going to just jump in and say my personal favorite on theme is going to be Last Night, and it's probably because of the B-movie theme. The fact that it's actual real people they knew, that they took the pictures of.
Cheesy
they did
makeup,
the
special effects, gotcha.
I mean, they give you a CD to listen to while you play it. It has cheesy zombie music in the background. I mean, it just does theme really, really well, personally.
I agree it gets the B-movie theme across. I think Zombicide gets like the big, huge, large budget
it's the Walking
scale
Dead.
Walking Dead of the games. Because, again, it's like Left 4 Dead. Huge hordes of zombies shambling around. You really have to plan where you're going around on the board and use like noise and weapons wisely. But because of the scale and the number of zombies, this seems like it would be like the big $100 million budget movie, and this would be like that really good B movie that everybody loves, The Underdog.
Be the one that does really good on DVD sales, but just sucks in the box office. Yeah.
So I would disagree. I think Zombicide gets the theme across better, but it's because I like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree though. I mean, I think Zombicide does have the zombie theme. This feels horror, great. I think it nails that. But when it comes down to zombies, Zombicide.
And I think we're probably all in agreement on Z-Apocalypse.
Well, actually, I was just going to kind of say that. I'm into the theme on this one. Like, I'm into the character. I am
You
that
think
character.
Last Night is the one?
I think that carries and brings me into the most, and I follow the theme better. Z-Apocalypse, though, the idea of the pre-planning, and you get your home base, and you have people that you're working with, and things like that. I like the idea. It didn't follow through, and that was, it stunk, because I think that this really could hold up on its own if you actually were engaged with it, and it just doesn't happen.
And it goes with Z-Apocalypse doesn't take the typical zombie route either. It goes with a kind of a unique, the zombies are created from radiation from a nuclear war, and that's why you have all the kind of crazy colors, I think, on the board and that type of stuff. But I think that also, it personally takes away from the theme aspect for me. It's not...
They're bringing two different themes.
It doesn't feel like the traditional zombie story to me. Yeah. And so it just kind of pulls you out of it.
Well, and then when I think zombie theme, I think quite a bit of action, tension. Your guy's pretty weak and can die easily. I didn't feel like in Z-Apocalypse that I was that weak and that I could die easily.
You get stronger.
And again, my guy wasn't connected. Whereas this, I feel like I'm a survivor. In both these games, you scavenge and you have to search buildings, and you seem like you're never finding what you need, and you're always running from zombies. And it has that theme, whereas Z-Apocalypse is a lot of time spent in the bunker planning.
And I never thought about
the
this.
Zombies. I don't know.
Like you said, you're scavenging. You always feel like you're weak on your last leg here. Z-Apocalypse, you actually get stronger as you play. Like your character levels up. I mean, it seems to kind of go contrary to the whole survival zombie story.
Well, I think as you stay in the environment longer, you are going to get better at what you do.
That.
But this one, like, you whittle down the zombies. It's never ending. You're always bringing zombies on the board. This one and that one
keep
just
respawning.
This one, it's not even just a respawn. It's just like, here's another board of zombies.
Let me just move them by the handful.
You ran out of zombies? Here, start using quarters, nickels, and dimes to try to fill in and then...
Or move them 3 times.
They get extra movement. That's when they... But you really feel like you're being hunted down by hordes of zombies. It's kind of cool.
So it sounds like...
Apocalypse.
I guess, Ian, where do you fall on your
I like
theme?
it. I'm theme. I'm into it. I'm there.
So I think we're split down the middle here then. It's Ian and I last night, Andrew and Brian, zombie side.
I would agree.
You're wrong.
And I'm not saying that this is, like I said, I love the B-movie nature, but I kind of like the big budget feel zombie side.
You're getting knifed in the parking lot.
Shivs all around.
All right, well...
Should we go into our individual reviews
Individual reviews. Best zombie game for a Halloween night. Andrew.
You're not allowed to touch the box.
Okay, you know how annoying that sound is going to be?
It is
People
gonna
they have their headphones on? Jeez, go ahead.
That's true. I do edit with headphones. It does get a little loud. Actually, overall, for everything that goes into the games, playing, theme, everything that wraps into it, I have to go with Last Night. It is one of the first games I ever played, so I kind of have a little bit of favoritism towards it, but just the pieces and everything, don't get me wrong, Zombicide is great, but there's a lot of rules that I didn't quite like, things like that, so I go with Last Night on Earth.
I agree some of the rules in Zombicide, sometimes you question, like, why is it when I shoot into a space, humans always take damage before zombies? But again, some of those rules they've made optional, so, officially from the companies, so I think the rules have been kind of fixed. I would go with Zombicide as my favorite. I do like Last Night on Earth a lot. I did not care for Zpocalypse. If you had to get one, I would say Zombicide is a great game, especially if your group likes co-op.
Quarantine Z doesn't
It's not even... Well, no, actually, here's the thing. As a second one, I don't know if I go Quarantine Z or Last Night. Quarantine Z is that quick, easy, it's a small box, it's portable, bring it to game night, it plays quickly.
Above Zpocalypse, though.
Yes, above, that would be my fourth.
Okay.
This is definitely my first choice if you want a big, heavy, this is my game night game. Last Night on Earth is a close second, though. And then Quarantine Z, I don't even know if Zpocalypse needs to exist. There are just too many zombie games out there. That's just my opinion.
There's too many good zombie games.
Too many good, and that's true too. So go Zombicide, but if you want to pick up an extra, definitely get Last Night.
It's a little closer for me than I thought it would be. If I just picked on base rules, I think it's Last Night for me. It has to be. I think it plays easier. I guess the theme across, like I said, better for me than I think Zombicide does. I like that B horror movie theme. Zombicide, though, if you house ruled a few of the things that we talked about, a few of the optional rules they've identified, the developers have identified, it would actually be a really, really close second for me. Just because it's beautiful, it really gets that theme across well as far as, you're running for your lives, trying to find whatever you can to survive.
And it really builds that team, though, too.
It does. It does.
Working together.
And I like that to a degree, but I actually like Last Night on Earth, and why I think it's a little bit higher is because you have a brain behind the zombies, somebody controlling the zombies, working them, playing cards to help them.
It's not just a flipping the
Aren't they supposed to be brainless, shambling, follow food? Isn't that what they're supposed to be, though? I'm just throwing this out there. I don't know.
But in all is in your depiction, like in video games like Resident Evil, there is those low-end zombies that just kind of meander, and then there's the higher ones that have higher brain function.
And then Last Night, the cards the zombies play really don't make the zombies smarter. They're more of... A lot of them are environment cards.
Screwing over the humans.
Yeah, that works on the humans. And so the zombies are still brainless and kind of shambling along, but you have... It's more of like the lights go out, the door doesn't work for you. It's environmental cards that they play against you. But I like having somebody you're playing against versus the deck. So I think that's why Last Night's my top. Zombicide's very close second. Quarantine is third, definitely, and Zpocalypse is just off the table, like you said. There's too many good zombie games out there.
And they're also expensive.
They're expensive. They're not cheap games. But I would go Last Night on Earth.
I'm going to piggyback on that. I'm going to say the Last Night on Earth is by far the top for me. The theme came across... In the multiple different options you have to play the game, they have a different environmental options you can set up to play, and you're done within an actual decent amount of time, and you don't feel like you just got beat to a pulp out in the parking lot.
Do you ever play as the humans? Because I feel like I get beat.
No, I play as the humans.
This side of the table can vouch that you get beat a lot.
Oh no, but you have fun doing it. But I think the fact that
and it's like an hour and a half.
Well, I'm playing against Adam. I'm playing against somebody else in the actual room. So I don't I feel like I'm actually playing against something or somebody, and you actually are invested in
You
it.
didn't lose to a board.
Yeah, exactly.
You lost to something.
And Zombicide, I feel like it's an empty victory, an empty loss when either one of them you lose or whatever. But I do wish I would have get this. I don't, as far as my review on Zombicide, I give it a very low score because I wasn't very happy with the game. Seeing the rest of them that are out there, a lot better than anything else that's out there.
I would like to go back and re-review them all too, because I would raise my score on probably both of these. I think, in hindsight.
I think I did very well on this. Well, I know I actually didn't sit on this one, but I do enjoy that game quite a bit. But Zombicide, I'm like it was an empty victory. It's an empty game as far as because it is a mindless setup. They have their rules set and how they move. I'm not playing against somebody. Last night I'm more invested with it, and I like that about it. But
so which is your number 2, 3, 4? If you had to
I would say Zombicide. And then I just don't care about the other two. Okay. I'm just gonna go 1 and 2. The other two I just don't care. I didn't having fun playing it. I didn't, and with what's on the board right now, these are the better games. Anyways,
I think it's pretty clear. You can push that guy off. Pull in Zombicide, Last Night on Earth. Those are gonna be, I think, what we'd recommend for your
definitely.
Halloween.
You won't go wrong, and you have a great horror game on your hands for a scary night.
Don't buy them both in the same month. You won't be able to buy food.
They are a little expensive. Zombicide is better.
We'll be able to make rent.
But hope you have a good Halloween and check out our review next week.